Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into understanding anxiety, but from a really interesting angle, neuroscience. Specifically, we're going to explore this idea of predictive error, how that might be, a key to why we feel anxious.
It's a fascinating perspective, definitely. Your brain is basically, well, it's like a prediction machine, right? Always
Okay.
trying to figure out what's coming next.
Right.
And kind of surprisingly, anxiety often seems linked to when those predictions, well, when they miss the mark.
Exactly. So, our mission here in this deep dive is to look into how these brain predictions, the ones your brain is making all the time, connect to those feelings of anxiety.
Yeah, let's unpack that.
Okay, let's dive in. So, first things first. What exactly is a prediction error?
Simply put, it's the mismatch, the difference between what your brain expects to happen and what actually, occurs in the real world.
Okay.
Well, imagine you're driving, expecting a clear road, maybe your usual commute, and bam, unexpected road construction.
Oh, okay. Didn't see that coming.
That's it. That's surprise. That's a prediction error. And this is important. These errors aren't inherently bad. They're actually fundamental to how you learn anything.
So your brain goes, note to self, construction on Elm Street. It's a learning signal.
Precisely. It forces an update. Think about everyday things like you expect sunshine, but it starts pouring rain,
Yep. Or you hear the intro to a song you think you know.
and it turns into something totally different. Or you expect a task to be easy, and it's way harder. Or even a friendly hello that gets a cold shoulder.
Right. All mismatches.
All mismatches. Each one makes your brain adjust its internal map of the world. It happens constantly. It's how we adapt.
Okay. Constant predicting, constant learning from errors. Makes sense. Now, the big step.
Yeah.
How does this connect directly to feeling anxious?
So the core idea here is that anxiety can kick in when your brain starts making, let's call them faulty predictions, specifically about potential threats or negative stuff happening.
Healthy how? Like getting the odds wrong.
Yeah, kind of. It might overestimate the likelihood of something bad happening, or maybe overestimate how severe it will be if it does happen.
Okay, so your brain's threat detector is maybe a bit too sensitive, predicting danger where there isn't much.
Or predicting a catastrophe when it might just be, an inconvenience. And this really comes into play in ambiguous situations.
Like when you're waiting for results, medical tests, job interview feedback, that kind of thing.
Exactly. When the outcome is unclear, your brain struggles to make a confident prediction. That uncertainty, that's fertile ground for anxiety.
And I guess past negative experiences could make this worse.
Absolutely. If you've been burned before, so to speak, your brain can become biased. It starts predicting negative outcomes more readily, even in situations that are objectively pretty safe.
Leading to that hypervigilance you sometimes hear about.
Being constantly on edge. Fundamentally, your brain just really, really dislikes uncertainty. It wants to know what's next.
Okay, uncertainty fuels anxiety via prediction errors.
Got it.
Got it. What about novelty? New things. Sometimes new is exciting, sometimes it's terrifying.
Well, novelty by definition creates prediction errors, right? Your brain doesn't have a solid prediction because it hasn't seen this exact thing before.
So no data to work with.
Right. Now, if there's too much novelty all at once, it can feel overwhelming, leading to anxiety, information overload, maybe.
But a little bit of newness, that's good.
Yes, an optimal level of novelty, of manageable prediction error, is actually what drives learning and curiosity. It keeps things interesting.
Because learning is the process of fixing those prediction errors.
Yeah.
Updating the brain's model.
Exactly right. And that's why familiar places, familiar routines usually feel less anxiety-provoking. Your brain has accurate predictions for those.
Which ties into things like therapy, perhaps.
Thanks.
Like gradual exposure.
Definitely. Gradual exposure, done safely, is basically helping your brain encounter those prediction errors, the mismatch between feared outcome and reality, and learn more accurate, less threatening predictions.
This whole process, predicting, checking, updating, dealing with errors, it sounds like hard work for the brain.
It is. It's metabolically expensive. Processing uncertainty and errors uses up significant brain resources, energy.
So if you're dealing with chronic anxiety, lots of prediction errors, that could lead to feeling mentally drained,
Yeah.
fatigued.
Plausibly, yes. That constant state of alert and error correction takes a toll. And interestingly, some research suggests conditions like depression might even impair the brain's ability to learn effectively from these prediction errors.
Wow, that adds another layer. So let's bring this back to managing anxiety. You mentioned exposure therapy. How does this predictive error framework really illuminate how that works?
Okay, think about exposure therapy. From this perspective, it's like a controlled experiment for your brain. You're deliberately creating prediction errors in a safe space.
How so? Give me an example.
Sure. Someone with social anxiety might predict intense humiliation if they speak up in a group. That's their prediction. In therapy, they might practice speaking up in a small, supportive group setting. The predicted humiliation. Well, usually it doesn't happen, or certainly not to the predicted extent.
So the prediction was wrong.
Error signal.
Big error signal. And by repeating this, exposing themselves to the situation without the catastrophic outcome, the brain gets chance after chance to learn.
To update the prediction.
To update the prediction, it learns, okay, speaking up doesn't actually equal disaster. And having safety signals present, like the therapist support, really helps cement that new, safer learning.
So, wrapping this up then, the big takeaway seems to be, we can understand anxiety, at least partly, as a fundamental problem of prediction in the brain.
Yeah, inaccurate predictions about threat. And crucially, updating those predictions based on actual experience is key to managing it.
Thinking about it this way, it kind of destigmatizes it a bit, doesn't it? It's not a personal failing. It's more about how your brain is wired to try and keep you safe, even if it gets the predictions wrong sometimes. Exactly. It frames it as a natural, understandable brain process. It makes you think differently about those anxious moments you might have.
Yeah, it really does. How many times was I anxious just because I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen next? That uncertainty.
And maybe that leads to a final thought for everyone listening. If you understand your anxiety partly as this prediction problem, could that change how you approach uncertain situations?
How so?
Well, instead of just seeing uncertainty as a threat to avoid, could you maybe approach it with a little more curiosity? Seeing it as an opportunity for your brain to gather new data, to learn, to refine its map of the world,